The sanctuary overflowed with white lilies and hushed mourners. Rebecca Green stepped to the pulpit to deliver the eulogy.
Mom always said the hardest part wasn't the diagnosis. It was watching us try to be brave.
In the front pew, Patricia stiffened. She had written those exact words months ago on her private blog.
That's from my blog. The blog she mocked.
She wrote every night, even when the drugs made her hands shake. A journal of small graces.
Patricia's hand tightened on her locket. The password-protected blog that no one else was supposed to read.
She stole it. She's reading my own words back to me.
And she said, if love were enough, I'd live forever. So I guess love was enough.
Patricia's half-smile stayed frozen. Her eyes burned, but she didn't move. The eulogy rolled on, each paragraph a fresh theft. Patricia sat silent, a scream trapped behind her teeth 3 years earlier. Patricia made a quiet decision. A private space for words no one would ever read. She opened her laptop late one night and created a blog, password protected, titled simply, Her Journey.
I can't talk about this with anyone, but I can write.
She wrote about her mother's smile before the sickness stole it, a memory from a bright, ordinary Sunday. She described the hospital room, the beeping monitors, her mother's hand in hers, thin but still warm.
This is the only place I can fall apart.
She typed until her eyes burned, then closed the laptop, hiding the blog behind a password no one knew. Night after night, the blog became her sanctuary, the only place she could be honest about the weight she carried.
It's just for me. No one will ever know.
The words she couldn't speak aloud found a home on those private pages. And for a while, that was enough. 18 months before the funeral, at a crowded Thanksgiving table, Rebecca found Patricia's blog open on a shared computer. Her smile curled.
Everyone, listen to this. Mom's hands shake now, but she still rubs my back like I am the child. She actually wrote this.
Stop. Those are my words. She's reading my private journal to the whole family.
The journal nobody asked for.
Her cousins exchanged glances. Patricia stared at the cranberry sauce, her face burning.
I can't breathe in here. I have to get out of this room.
She pushed back her chair, mumbled an excuse, and locked herself in the bathroom, tears hot on her cheeks. Late that night, alone in her room, she said a password, a phrase no one could guess, not even her mother, if she were still lucid.
Never again. No one gets in.
From that night, the blog was locked away, but the humiliation at that table had already poisoned it. She never forgot Rebecca's smirk. In the final weeks, the hospice room became Patricia's world. She rarely slept, unwilling to miss a single breath. Elizabeth's skin grew translucent. Still, Patricia read aloud from hidden pages. Though her mother could no longer respond, the morning, the heart monitor flatlined. Patricia didn't cry out. She kissed her mother's hand and whispered goodbye.
Pat, you are a wreck. Let me do the eulogy. I've already written something beautiful. Mom would have approved.
She sounds so certain. Maybe she really does understand what I need.
Too exhausted to argue, Patricia nodded. She let Rebecca guide her through the funeral arrangements. At the viewing, she stood beside the casket, the lily's scent cloying. Rebecca stood apart, murmuring with the director. Patricia didn't notice the rehearsed ease in her sister's posture. She was too deep in her own hollow sadness. And when the service began, she slid into the front pew, gripping the locket, trusting that her sister would honor their mother. She had no idea what Rebecca was about to do. Rebecca turned a page, her voice softening. The words fell like stones into the silence.
Mom would wake at 5 just to hear the robins. She said their song reminded her that light always comes back.
That was March 14th. I wrote that at 2 in the morning. She stole the exact date.
Her knuckles went white around the locket. The same locket her mother had placed in her palm a lifetime ago.
And even when the disease took her voice, she'd tap her fingers on the windowsill, keeping time with the birds.
That's mine, all of it. She didn't just skim, she memorized.
The congregation nodded, touched. Patricia's throat closed around a sound she refused to make.
Mom would hate this. She would want me to show grace.
She pressed her heels into the floor, anchoring herself. This wasn't the time to unravel. The eulogy wasn't finished. And Patricia had already heard enough to know nothing would ever be the same.
Her hands were so dry from the drugs, but she'd still squeeze mine, like she was afraid of letting go.
Patricia's lungs seized. She'd written that sentence at 3 in the morning, alone in a dark room, the night of March 22nd. After a long chemo shift, she had typed those exact words between sobs. She'd described the parched skin, the way her mother's grip still felt like a promise.
No one else knew that detail. She read my private blog.
Even then, her hands spoke when her voice couldn't. A language of love.
Only I wrote about that. The password was supposed to protect it.
Patricia's knuckles whitened. The locket felt like a branding iron against her chest. The realization struck her spine like a tuning fork. Rebecca hadn't overheard a story. She'd read every word Patricia had ever written. The eulogy still rolled on, but Patricia's mind was fixed on one cold, terrible fact. Her sister had stolen her most guarded truth.
And I'll miss her every day.
That was my closing, the exact phrasing I typed at 3 a.m., blinded by grief.
Patricia rose, her face an unnatural calm. She accepted handshakes, each condolence a tiny invasion.
Just get through this. Later, I'll check the admin. There has to be a digital footprint.
At the graveside, the casket descended slowly. Patricia stood rigid, counting the minutes until she could escape.
Too many eyes. I can't look at my phone yet.
When the burial ended and the mourners dispersed, she walked quickly to her car, locking the doors behind her. The silence inside the car pressed against her ears. She exhaled shakily and reached for her phone.
Now, the login history. It'll show everything.
With trembling fingers, she opened the blog's admin panel, scrolling directly to the login activity log. The screen filled with a list of timestamps and IP addresses. One entry froze her. Logged in from 192.168.1.101. Location, Rebecca Green's home network. 11:23 p.m., 11 weeks earlier.
11 weeks. She was reading my private grief while our mother was still alive. That's 77 days of theft.
She scrolled down. There were dozens of sessions, stretching back months, each one a silent intrusion.
She didn't just find it. She tracked my every word, taking what she needed.
Her thumb automatically took a screenshot, capturing the proof. Then another. And another. The evidence sat in her photo gallery, undeniable. Her sister's fingerprint was all over her most intimate thoughts.
She mocked me at Thanksgiving, then stole the very thing she ridiculed. It was never about the eulogy.
She sat motionless, her mother's locket pressing cold against her skin, as the full weight of the betrayal settled in.
But why? What else has she done with them? There has to be more.
A week after the funeral, Patricia sat at her kitchen table, laptop open. Grief had made her restless, suspicious. She typed Rebecca Green into the Amazon search bar, not expecting much. Maybe a social media post, a local article. The results stopped her cold. A paperback, From One Daughter's Heart, published 3 weeks earlier.
A book. She never said anything about a book.
With a shaking hand, she clicked Look Inside. The first essay loaded, words she knew by heart. Mom always said the hardest part was not knowing whether to prepare for loss or hope for a miracle.
That's my first post. Word for word. She published my journal as her own.
She scrolled to the author photo. Rebecca Green, beaming in a professional headshot, arms crossed like a real writer.
She sold my grief. She packaged my pain and sold it before Mom was even buried.
Patricia shoved the laptop back, her hand clamped over her mouth. The room spun. After the shock subsided, a colder resolve took hold. She needed to know when the theft had begun.
I need the date. When did she decide to profit from my pain?
She called the religious grief publisher's office, steadying her voice into a detached, journalistic tone.
Hello, this is Sarah Collins. I am writing an article on the new grief memoir, From One Daughter's Heart. Could you tell me when you acquired the manuscript?
That title was very special to us. The author signed the contract 2 weeks before her mother's passing. Very emotional timing, really.
2 weeks before. Mom was still alive. She was planning this while I held Mom's hand in hospice.
She managed a polite goodbye, then ended the call. The room fell silent, except for the hum of the refrigerator.
She signed on April 3rd. Mom died April 17th. It was calculated.
Patricia pulled up a digital calendar, circling April 3rd in red. The date her sister had monetized her secret grief. The timeline was complete. The blog violated, the words stolen, a book sold before their mother's body was cold. That night, Patricia stood by the window, the weight of the lawsuit brochures heavy in her hands. She set them down.
I don't want years of litigation. I want the truth out there, in my own words.
She called a lawyer friend for advice, but the conversation was brief. Patricia already knew what she had to do.
The blog has timestamps. That's my proof. I'll make it public and let the chronology speak for itself.
She logged into the blog admin, her fingers steady for the first time in weeks. The password-protected world was about to become public. She created a new post and titled it, "To Set the Record Straight." The cursor blinked, waiting for her testimony.
I'll explain everything. How the blog began, how Rebecca mocked it, and how she stole it. All with dates.
She typed for an hour, laying out the timeline, the blog's creation, the Thanksgiving humiliation, the stolen eulogy, the book. Then she opened the settings panel. The toggle to make all posts public sat dormant, waiting for her click.
Once I do this, there's no going back. But I can't keep this secret any longer.
A confirmation box appeared on the screen. Are you sure you want to make all posts public?
For Mom. For all the words she never got to read. I am doing this for her.
With one click, the blog went live. A progress bar filled, and suddenly the homepage appeared, no longer hidden. The first post, "Today," the doctor said, the word palliative. "I don't know how to be this sad." Patricia read her own words, now open to the world. Tears blurred the screen, but she didn't look away. She composed a quick email to 3 trusted friends, attaching the blog link with a simple note. Look at the dates. Then she hit send. The step that could not be taken back. She opened the blog's analytics. The view counter sat at 0, then flickered 137.
It's starting. The truth is out. And there's no pulling it back now.
By midnight, the counter read 103. Strangers were reading her mother's story, carried on her own words. 2 days later, Patricia refreshed the blog analytics during breakfast. The view counter now showed thousands. Her phone buzzed with a Twitter notification. A stranger had shared her blog, adding a single line, "Check the dates." Rebecca Green's book is stolen from her sister. Look at the blog posts from 2020. The tweet gained traction fast. Retweet after retweet. Number: plagiarized eulogy began trending locally.
It's out. All of it. The blog, the book, the dates. I can't stop it now.
Comments flooded the blog, hundreds in an hour. Supportive, outraged, demanding answers from the publisher. A small but reputable news blog picked up the story. Sister's Grief blog, plagiarized for Amazon bestseller. The byline linked directly to Patricia's timeline.
They're reading my words. They're seeing what she did.
By evening, Patricia sat on her couch, tablet in hand, scrolling through tweets that compared paragraphs side by side, dates circled in red. Her face in the tablet's glow was exhausted, but a quiet vindication settled in her chest. The world knew. Now the publisher had to respond. 3 days after the blog went viral, Patricia opened her laptop to find a new email. The subject line froze her: apology and immediate action. Regarding from one daughter's heart. We have removed the book from all platforms and are issuing full refunds. We have also terminated our relationship with Rebecca Green.
It's over. The book is gone. They believed the timestamps.
She immediately visited the Amazon page. The buy button was gray, replaced by currently unavailable.
No more sales. My mother's words no longer stolen.
She scrolled to the bottom of the email. The editor, Tom, had added a personal plea. Could you provide the original blog link for our records?
He wants proof directly from me. Fine. The blog is my testimony.
She hit reply, pasted her blog's URL, and wrote only one line. The email was sent. Within an hour, the publisher's website displayed a public apology banner, and Rebecca Green's author page was stripped. That evening, Patricia's phone rang. The caller ID made her stomach clench. Rebecca Green.
I was wondering when you'd finally call.
How could you do this to me? You've destroyed my entire career.
How could I? How could you? You read my private journal and sold it before Mom was even cold.
I was honoring her memory. Those experiences were mine too.
They were never yours. You didn't write a single word. You just copied and pasted my grief.
A long pause. Then Rebecca's voice cracked, turning into ragged sobs.
I can't believe you'd do this to your own sister. You've ruined me.
You stopped being my sister the moment you used our mother's death for profit. Goodbye, Rebecca.
Patricia ended the call and looked at Elizabeth's photo. She felt only the quiet release of a long-held tension. A week passed in a strange quiet. Then, on a gray Tuesday afternoon, an email arrived from the Authors Guild watchdog. Subject: plagiarism, flag, confirmation. Rebecca Green. After reviewing the evidence, Rebecca Green has been permanently flagged in our database. Her case has been shared with industry partners.
Permanently flagged. She can't publish anything again. It's over.
A second email from Tom, the publisher's editor, confirmed they had alerted their contacts, ensuring Rebecca's name was effectively blacklisted. The official seal of the Authors Guild watchdog sat in the corner of the email. Integrity in writing.
I didn't sue. I didn't shout. The truth itself was enough.
She sat motionless, letting the weight of months settle. There was no triumph, only the strange peace of a completed arc.
Mom's words are safe now. No one will ever steal them again.
The external battle was done. Whatever came next, Patricia knew she had kept her promise to the woman who taught her to write. 3 weeks after the blog went public, a crisp envelope arrived from a respected publisher. Inside, an invitation to discuss a book. In a bright conference room, Tom, the editor, leaned forward with an earnest expression. The same man who had once defended Rebecca.
Patricia, the response to your blog has been overwhelming. We want the full collection, every essay. The world deserves your mother's story, in your voice.
I want this to mean something. All royalties go to the hospice that cared for my mother. That's non-negotiable.
We can make that work. It's unusual, but it honors your story. Let's put it in writing.
A contract materialized. Elegant paper, black ink. Patricia read every line, her finger tracing the clause. 100% royalties to the hospice.
This isn't just a book. It's Mom's legacy. Finally in the right hands.
She signed her name with a steady hand. The ink dried on a promise that turned stolen words into a lasting gift.
We'll call it Her Hands, a daughter's record. Your mother would be proud.
As she walked out of the building, the contract held tight in her hand. Patricia felt her mother's legacy shift from a stolen memory to a mission. The morning Her Hands was published, a small bookstore placed it in the front window, next to a single white lily, just like the ones at the funeral. At a small signing, Patricia sat with a stack of books, each one opening to a dedication she had penned the night before. A woman approached, her eyes already wet. Patricia signed with a gentle smile, and the stranger whispered, "Thank you for telling your mother's truth."
She would have loved this. All these people carrying her story home.
2 hours later, Patricia walked through the doors of the hospice, the same corridor she had walked 100 times before. She carried an oversized check, the amount already transferred, the donor line reading simply, "In memory of Elizabeth Green."
Patricia, your mother would be so proud. You've turned your grief into a gift for every family who walks through these doors.
A few nurses gathered, the same ones who had adjusted Elizabeth's blankets and held Patricia's hand on the hardest days.
She always said love wasn't a feeling, it was action. This book is the best action I could take.
She placed the check in Mary's hands, and for a moment, the grief lifted, replaced by the quiet certainty that her mother's name would now outlast the pain. Late that afternoon, Patricia walked alone through the cemetery gates, a single copy of her hands held against her chest. She knelt before the headstone, smoothing the grass as if tucking her mother in one last time. The engraved letters caught the late sun. Elizabeth Green, beloved mother, and beneath them, the book leaned steady.
Mom, these are your stories. I finally gave them to the world. No one will ever steal them again. I didn't do it for revenge. I did it so everyone would know how much you were loved.
She touched the marble, her fingers tracing the names she would never stop carrying. The sun began to sink, painting the sky in shades of amber and rose. Patricia didn't rise, she just stayed, the book a quiet sentinel at her mother's side.
This is enough. This is peace.
For a long while, the only sound was the rustle of leaves and the distant hum of evening. And on the marble, the book stood, not as a monument to theft, but as the final chapter of a promise kept. Patricia rose slowly, her knees stiff from the long kneeling, but her heart felt lighter than it had in years. She turned her gaze to the horizon. The sky was a quiet blaze of amber and rose, as if the day itself was exhaling peace. For a moment, the old pain flickered, the Thanksgiving table, Rebecca's laughter over the stolen words. Then the church, the eulogy that was never hers, spoken to mourners who didn't know they were hearing a theft. But the memories dissolved into the present, the book resting against marble, and she felt the anger release its final hold.
I kept my promise, Mom. Every word.
A few tears traced paths down her cheeks, but the curve of her lips was real, the first genuine smile since the diagnosis. She stepped back, her hand trailing along the cold marble one last time. The book remained, a faithful sentinel. The sunset deepened, wrapping the cemetery in a quiet gold. She knew her mother would have loved this view. She stood for one more long minute, then turned, ready to walk toward whatever came next. She walked slowly along the cemetery path, the gravel crunching softly under her feet. A few steps on, she paused and looked over her shoulder. The book was a small, steady shape against the granite. It stood where she had left it, a faithful witness to a promise finally fulfilled. A gentle breeze stirred the pages, but the book held firm. Patricia felt no urge to return and fix it. She faced forward, her shoulders squaring under the dying light. The weight she had carried for months had eased. For the first time, grief no longer felt like a closed fist around her heart. It had expanded into something spacious, like love without a wall. She smiled, a small curve of real peace, and let the tears dry on her cheeks. The cemetery gate appeared ahead, the ironwork silhouetted against the orange sky. She did not hurry. Behind her, the book remained, a quiet marker that the truth had won, and a mother's story now belonged to the world. And that was enough. The book stood where she had left it, a final testament to a love that couldn't be stolen. The evening light wrapped the granite in gold, and the name Elizabeth Green shone like a whispered promise. Beyond the headstone, the cemetery stretched quiet and still, cradled by the last of the day. The church, once filled with lilies and grief, now sat empty, its pews washed in stained glass color. The pulpit, where the stolen words were spoken, stood hollow, but the truth had long since left that room. Light spilled through the window in fractured hues, as if the whole sanctuary remembered and let go. And in the cemetery, the book caught that same light, its pages unread, but alive with meaning. Viewed from a distance, it was nothing grand, just a book against a stone, but it was enough. The sky deepened to violet, and the first star appeared over the trees, gentle as a held breath, and the words, once stolen, now belonged to the woman who gave them life, her true monument.